Cinnamon. Where you gonna run to? I'll run to the rock. Please guide me unto the rock. What's the matter with you, rock? It should have been Montrose. Welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, coming to discuss the season finale of LoveCraft Country, Full Circle. I don't know why this episode is like hitting so hard, because we always knew from like mid-season that this was the end game. Tick was supposed to die, but to actually see it here, it was like in the back of my mind, I just knew that at the very last second, you know, some spell was going to happen, something mystical, some, you know, fail-safe situation was going to happen, and Tick was going to live. And plus, I always thought that Montrose was going to die. And, you know, so we can't have two, you know, hard-hitting, heavy deaths in one season. We already had Uncle George. So that left Tick to live in my mind. Tick was going to live. No. No. Before we get into this episode and everything that happened, and, you know, if I feel like this was a suitable season finale, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video. Then we're going to come back and we're going to discuss the full circle of it all. Now, to start off, we pick up this episode right where we left off. We are trying to save Dee. Dee has went back to full-on jigaboo demon. Of course, last episode, Christina only reversed the process, starting it over. Here, we're trying to lift the curse all together. Tick and everybody else form a circle to do the spell to save Dee. Letty and Tick pass out. They're out. And we finally get to see the grandmother. Not only are we back in these flames, but they're like neon red. It didn't look like those same burning flames. But we also find out that the grandmother killed herself. She committed suicide because she kept having this recurrent dream and thinking of the family's magic as a negative, because of course she was pregnant with the master's baby. And she felt like this curse had been put on her family. Burning down the house and running off with the book. It was this recurring nightmare, which is why we keep seeing her over and over running. Doesn't say anything each time. But this time she says, the key is in your blood. And says what we have been trying to avoid all along. The exact same thing that Christina said. Of course, Christina wants to sacrifice Tick for immortality, but the grandmother says, we need you to sacrifice yourself anyway to save everybody. This is for the good of our people, not just our family. And Tick is devastated. We also see Letty. She's, you know, with the grandmother who died in the Tulsa fire. And they're both, you know, instilling this spell to help Letty and Tick. Tick is in Montrose's house, and he gets to see his mom again. And she pretty much, you know, coddles him and lets him know it's okay. Don't think of it as, you know, you dying. Think of it as, you know, a sacrifice for the greater good of everybody. And I was like, damn. We waited all this time to hear and see either one of you, and this is what y'all have? I just knew they were finna form some family defense and this is our plan B. No, you were meant to be sacrificed from the very beginning. Of course, Tick and Letty are distraught, but they learn this spell and they also perform this spell, you know. Meanwhile, Montrose and Blue Hair are trying to, you know, wake them up. But they do this together, and you see how strong they are with all four of them together. That curse lifts off of Dee without a problem. They wake up and realize that we could not save Dee's arm. Dee's arm is still very much in that dead state. It's a dead arm. And you remember the episode when Tick went into the portal and he says someone in a robe with a robotic arm handed him that book. I'm guessing that that's Dee, because that arm has got to go. Now, once everyone is alert and awake, Tick and Letty, of course, inform them, you know, we saw Mom, we saw Grandmother, we know what we need to do, we know what this book is for. But Montrose is, you know, not accepting it. Montrose wants what we want. Like, we want our son to live. I want you to live. Noticing that Montrose is not at all going to change his mind and accept the terms, he lies and tells him that, you know, we're going to come up with something else. We're still going to go through with the plan. We're still going to go to Arden. But, you know, once we get there, we're going to do something that doesn't involve me having to sacrifice myself. Of course, we know, Tick and Letty know, that that is a bold-faced lie. But Tick and Letty proceed to go to the tomb, Titus, you know, where they found the indigenous woman that was never spoke of again. And they form, you know, a protection circle with the salt and do a whole spell with all of the ancestors, the mom, everybody, and brings back Titus. Titus is, you know, talking that master shit and somehow, you know, escapes the circle for just a split second, just in time to run into Christina and Ruby. I was like, that is so convenient. I didn't know if I liked that or not. Like, I'm not a big fan of conveniences in stories, but I was like, okay. You seen how Christina ran, oh, Ruby, you okay? Like, love. I think their love is a little bit stronger than Letty's and Tick's, to be honest with you. But, you know, he gets up there just for enough seconds to say, hey, those jigaboos got the book. Goes back down. He is attacked by Tick while they're saying this spell, and he cuts off a big piece of his flesh, and they, you know, send him back. They finish the spell, sending the grandmother back, sending the grandmother from Tulsa back, and finally sending the mom back. The easy part of this episode. We get into Dee. Dee is upset, as she should be. And I really didn't like this part of the show with, you know, Hippolyta. We do understand Hippolyta's plight, and because I'm a mom, Hippolyta's plight, and, you know, I had to go find myself. I was this. I learned so many things. Kind of taking Dee on the journey that we've already been on with her in the I Am episode. And Dee is where we are. I don't care. But, like, remember, like, when I had named myself Mama, then I came back to you. I came back. Kind of feeling like, you know, I ain't have to come back, girl. I came back, though. If I would have known, I would have came. It's not about that. You should have been here. I wasn't, you know, Tick, Letty, and Montrose's responsibility. Find yourself or not. Your ass should have been here. Now I'm missing an arm. Dee is pissed. But, we get into Letty and Ruby. Now, of course, Letty wants to use Ruby to get closer to Christina, To to do this incantation spell, we need, you know, all body of, you know, this ancestor, which is, you know, Titus. We have that flesh that we cut off, and we need the blood, the something of Christina, so everything can come full circle, of course. And everybody's like, nah, son, like, what do you mean she's close? Of course she's close. She's a little too close for us to trust her to go against Christina at all. Just as they're talking, Christina rolls up like they haven't been trying to kill each other all season. Yeah, what's up? I want to call a truce. I heard y'all have the book. You want to slide that on over? And just for a second, you know, because they want, at the end of the day, they do want Tick to live. We want Tick to live. And Tick is like, no. This is like a family heirloom at this point. You know what we had to go through to get this book? You know what this book means to my family? I'm not giving you this. As she walks out, she says her little I do be dumbula and takes the invulnerability spell off of Letty. Now, like the true man that he is, I just love how things come full circle this episode. We just happen to go and make amends with Jen just in time, because, you know, we're gonna need her towards the end. And he goes and tells her what we already knew. Like, we know that you had true, genuine feelings for this woman. For God's sake, she was your first. You know, what we had was real. I just didn't want to admit that. And, you know, she's telling her, you know, that the mom died, and when she was just starting to have feelings because she was being treated like a daughter, and just feelings for him, everything has been taken away, and she doesn't know if she can feel anymore. And he explains to her, you know, what grief is, and she reminds him, you know, that she was said that she hadn't met the true darkness yet. And he goes, you know what, I'm looking to change that, because he was supposed to die, and she was supposed to die also, and go back to her true form and go spirit form. I don't know. But, you know, he says, I don't believe that. At the end of the day, we are still family. Oh, we family now, huh? All right, Tick. Okay. But we get to the cemetery. Letty and Ruby have met up to put flowers on their mom's grave. And they're just talking about, you know, the past and what it meant to be a family, and examples they were shown for family from their mom. And against the family's better judgment, you know, Letty carrying around this book of names like it's the goddamn daily newspaper. Like, girl, put that away. You know what you guys have been through to get that damn book? It's been about that book this whole season. You just have it in your bag. But she tells her, you know, she wants to, you know, get that book and, you know, trade it for, you know, Christina's blood, something of Christina's person, her flesh, you know, work with us. At the end of the day, I am still your true family. I really know what family is now that I've been, you know, engrossed in Tick and Hippolyta and Uncle George and Dee and Montrose. What we had was not real family. But I want you to remember that no matter what, you are my sister, and I need you. And this is all very reminiscent to Ruby. Ruby is still angry. Like, girl, minus the spells and all of that, I remember countless times where you used me and you were selfish. And that's what I feel like this is again. Ruby is getting ready to leave, and she stops her and tells her, you know, I want to tell you one more thing. And we cut. Please drop down and tell me what you think Letty told her. Did I miss something? Did something happen? I was thinking maybe she told her, you know, maybe that Christina really could have saved Dee, and she didn't. You know, she could have took that curse all the way off, and she knew where the captain was the whole time. Something like, what did she say? Did I miss something? We return back to Dee and Hippolyta. Of course, Dee is still very upset because, you know, she no longer has an arm. Hippolyta gives her a comic of, you know, her whole adventure that we got to see, you know, in the far, far galaxy with Uncle George and, you know, the little aliens, the whimsy of it all. And she's, you know, you're like, what happened? What is this? She's like, you know, I thought you could use it. And Dee's like, it's gone. Like, I'm never going to be able to draw again. And she, you know, lets her know in so many words, that's okay. I'm going to fix that. I have a plan for all of that. Everything's going to be fine. And she's like, how are you going to fix this? Of course, Hippolyta has been all the way to the future and back and everywhere. So she's seen and had, access to resources that aren't even invented then. She shows her something, and I was thinking it was the arm, but, we didn't see it, but it was confirmed at the end of the episode. We get into Ruby and Letty living out their true love. Now, we didn't really know. We can never really tell with Ruby which way she's going to go. And it's always seemed like she's picked that side, Christina's side first, with her being so torn with Letty in the relationship they had way before all of these things even came into fruition. But even Christina notices, a little pushback, something different looming in Ruby. And it's like, you have something you want to say. Is anything going on as Christina is going through, her plan, her spells, what she needs, what she's planning to do. And she also, mentions why she has to keep William in like comatose-like state. And she has to mix her blood with his. And it's in that, that vow. And she's looking at it. And we're like, I was like, nah, she ain't gonna do it. But, she tells her, what if it doesn't work? Then that means I've killed, my whole family, my dad, everybody for nothing. And, Ruby tells her, don't think like that. Your spell is going to work and you're not alone. You have me. And, they have a little kiss. I was like, Ruby gone. Not dead gone, but like, she's in love. There's no way she's going against Christina. We get back with, Letty and Tick in their, all white, about to be baptized. At this point, they are just bonding and sharing, their kind of like their last moments together, because it's been written beforehand, he was meant to be that sacrifice, for the greater good. So they're just, bonding over, we're bigger than this. We can, strive. Our son is going to be great. Think about that. I love you. You love me, but this is what it is. And just them kind of saying their goodbyes. We get, back to the travel guide, garage, and then everybody, doing teamwork to put everything back into its place before they get up in the station wagon and get ready to go. Now we're leaving and we see Ruby just show up. I was like, okay. Ruby says, I got it. And she has that vow that we see, earlier in the show. And she just gives it to her willingly. And, she's just so excited. Like, oh my God, thank you, Ruby. This is what we needed. I knew you loved me as your sister. I knew you would choose us. Bring it in. And I was like, no, don't bring it in, because something ain't right. Something ain't right. Now, what wasn't right? Did I know it was going to be that? I did not, but I knew something wasn't right. We get into the station wagon. Everybody's leaving for Artem. Like, everybody fits so perfectly into this station wagon. I was like, okay, this looks so uncomfortable. But real, like, sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, and shaboom, shaboom. Like, it was very like a utopia all of a sudden. I was like, are they dreaming? Something is wrong. Why is everything all of a sudden okay? And like, your plan is going to go accordingly and we're going to triumph. Like, something is wrong. And boy, some shit was wrong. Now we see, everyone is there. Even, Jen made it out. Everything is in its place. Everybody's working together. We're marking all, barriers to, form this grand, protection circle, and this incantation spell for Christina. We're, forming the salt, Montrose, and Tick is, eating the flesh, and it just seems like everything is in its place and everything just looks so perfect. I was like, okay, the shit is about to hit the fan. We get into Christina Ruby, and Letty in the tower. And it just seems like Ruby is just all too consumed with Christina. What if, this doesn't work? What if she, tries to do it early? And, she just has all these facts. It has to be, the highest moon and blah, blah, blah. When Ruby kind of realizes, this isn't my sister. They're talking and, she's going, the car ride, despite everything, was really great. I really loved being with you guys. No. Christina has now transformed herself into Ruby, which means she's killed Ruby. So that means at the end of the day, Ruby did try. She says she had to do what she had to do. She loved Ruby. Ruby loved her. But at the end of the day, Ruby still chose her family. And she caught her trying to steal a vial of her blood and did what needed to be done. Then we get this, this epic fight between Ruby and Letty. Christina and Letty. We lost Ruby? I mean, Ruby got on my nerves, but I wasn't planning on her dying this episode. Not like that anyway. Christina is for the streets. That's why her and Ruby got along so well. Ruby was for the streets and Christina was for the streets. And right when Ruby was about to get her redemption and say, hey, this is family, she got taken out. We see them tussle and fight, and she was just about to, it was so odd to see her fighting her sister, like you're about to kill your sister and make her, have this death drop down this tower. Christina, gathers herself, lifts up, and knocks Letty over the tower from what we see killing her. And I was like, all right. We can't lose Ruby and Christina and Tech. Like, where y'all going with this? We get back to this scene. At this point, the residents, the little villagers have all gathered Tick, prepared him, for the spell, and strapped him down, arms and the whole nine, just like they did in that second episode when the dad was trying to prepare. When Fitz was trying to prepare. Christina appears in this almost white wedding dress, ready to perform for immortality. At this point, Montrose has been captured. Jen has been captured. Hippolyta has been captured. But where's Dee? Alone. If y'all could have seen like how I fell out when I saw Dee alone in the woods in that station wagon where we know the Shabaguts or whatever the hell roam as soon as the sun goes down. I was like, again with this baby girl being alone. Strap her to y'all back at this point. Like, don't let her be alone. We see that Dee is attacked by one, but the black one that is, was meant to protect Tick comes to her rescue. And I was like, whew, at least something or somebody was there, because the family don't give a damn. We get back to this damn seance, and everything is in its place. Everything has fallen. All the chips have fallen exactly how Christina wanted them to. Then we see Letty get up, and we see what we didn't see beforehand, that Ruby, Christina, put that invulnerability spell back on her. So it's like she's still, even in death, wanted to honor what, she said to Ruby, I won't hurt your sister. Like, they really loved each other. So she's up, track and field yet again, trying to get there. But, it's pretty much too late at this point. Everything has been put into place. Tick has been sliced and diced, and Christina is bathing in Tick's blood, and he's just draining. And everybody just looks like they're just suffering, like we lost. Letty gets there, and she's letting out that spell that the grandmother taught her. And Tick is passing away slowly, and it's like it's too late. Even Christina tells her it's too late, it's done. She's still going, she's still trying, she's not giving up. She's straining so hard that there are veins popping out of her neck, like, no, this is not going to be it for me, from my son, from my family. Jen, didn't I tell y'all she was going to be there to save her man? Not the way I thought she was, but she was here. She was here. She, has a flashback, and it says, you have not met with true darkness. Darkness being, Christina, and that black magic, this darkness. She goes on the stairs and, kind of coincides with Letty in her chant. And it's not going to work unless, their blood is intertwined. So she takes her Squidward tentacles and puts one in Christina and the other in Tick, and combine them. And we see their last moments kind of flash before her eyes. We see that Christina, was suspicious and saw Ruby and killed Ruby, and she's in the same state that William was in. We saw, Tick, do his preparations. Not only has he been baptized, he bonded Dee, with the Shabbagat. We saw him give Hippolyta his, last words to Montrose. And, he was prepared for this. He knew that this was it. And then it just, goes black. We wake up with Christina in pain and impaled and, all these, cement bricks. She's in pain, so she's no longer immortal. Because we saw, Letty try to stab her and nothing happened. No, that's done, girl. That lasted, for all of your work, that lasted all of 2 seconds. And Christina, tells her, like, you made me, impervious to magic. And she goes, not just you, all white people. This belongs to us now. This magic belongs to black people. You guys can't have it. I got the message, and I see everything that the show was going for. But for all that we've gone through this season, I don't know, it just seems so empty. And then just to lose Tick anyway. And I see, it's, the betterment of all people. This is, kind of, a band-aid for all the suffering that we've had to endure at the hands. Which kind of coincides with Tick's, last words and his note to Montrose. Poor Montrose. Montrose just wakes up like, well, damn, I was laying salt. And it's like, get out there, like, Montrose, it's over. It's done. He's gone. And they're, packing him off. And she has, the dog tags on. I was like, he's like literally carried away like, a dead soldier would be in the war. I was fulfilled with the ending, but I just felt so empty. Like, this is it. This is what we were climaxing up to, what we were working our way up to. And then there wasn't a linger of hope that Tick would, like, no, he's gone. We have been with Tick for 10 episodes, so for him to just die, even if we knew he was gonna die, it was just like, everybody's carrying him off in pain. Jen has lost her only first and true love. Letty has lost not only her love, but the father to her unborn child. Montrose has lost his son after he's finally came full circle himself and accepted himself for who he is and wants to be a better father. Hippolyta has lost, her daughter has been hurt and severely injured. She's lost her husband. But everybody as a whole in the world are okay. So that's supposed to, you know, make us as an audience feel better. And it does. I see the vision, but we leave off, you know, with Hippolyte. Help her, somebody help me. Anybody there? We leave off with that, and I just knew that Shabagith was going to bite her whole face off. But Dee's like, no, I'll take care of this one. She finally reveals, you know, that she has had that robotic hand the entire time. So she did give him that book, you know, in his trip to the future. She uses all her strength, you know, tells her, you know, you just don't understand. Like, why would I help you? I'm not helping you. This wasn't about you. Crushes Christina's neck. No more Christina. We get this Shabagith howl at the moon, and it goes off. I feel so empty. Please drop down in the comments and let me know how you guys felt about this season finale. I liked it. It was not bad by far. It was actually, you know, really played out, you know, with the mystery with Ruby and everything coming full circle. But I just left. Did anybody else feel a little dry? Or I don't know if it's just dry because, you know, we've lost Tick, or just because I didn't feel like the episode fulfilled me enough, or, you know, tied up enough ends. That's it, y'all. I see you guys for my next review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe and like. Bye.